again, back at 50 and 50. Today I'm going to talk about fertility and really, I suppose, seasonal calving herds. We're coming up to breeding season in Ireland, but a lot of these rules apply no matter whether cows are indoors or not. And even in block calving systems, this is important to get right. These 9, I'm going to talk through 9 tips. A lot of people would have heard me talk about longevity before as the key metric, and I think it's coming into its own now. This is the idea that keeping cows in the herd for longer, several reasons. The older the cow gets, the more productive and profitable she is because she's higher volumes of solids and milk overall. But she also, if we're keeping lower replacement rates, once our genetics are right and our system's working well, you've less greenhouse gas emissions, you've for a kilo of milk produced, you're more efficient. And I suppose from a welfare perspective, as that will come, I've no doubt over the next decade still will be a focus that we're keeping cows in our herds for a long period of time, giving them productive and happy lives. I think that's important. Fertility is a key driver to this, and fertility is a key driver to profitability. If we think about fertility in a seasonal calving system, if we can get a short 6-week in calf rate, which means we maximise the time of for cows out of grass, we'll maximise the days in milk, and these are all huge drivers for profitability. So fertility is really, really key. And I suppose start back here with the decisions we make. And we've been very lucky to see the genetic advancements that have come in our herds in relation to the amount of information we know about the decision making we're making, the genetics we choose. And now's a key time way back out here from breeding to decide what bulls you're using based on what your production needs, fertility in the herd. Look at your EBI, it's a fantastic tool to utilise. But again, I don't get into system management with people. They can pick your own systems, but make good genetic decisions right now. Pick out your bulls, be ready there. Again, if you are using stock bulls, I think there's nothing like artificial insemination to prove genetic potential, but if you are using stock bulls, they need to be fertility tested now, get them ready for the season ahead. Really important. I suppose number 2 is kind of be ready, particularly with a lot of farms using AI and with COVID-19 at the moment. Talk to your AI man about having your facilities ready, be drafting gates, crushes, that it's set up that your AI man can come in and work on his own if he needs be. Really important, I think. I think make that phone call, have washing facilities ready that he can wash when he comes in and out. Just really important thing, just simple, but just be ready for the breeding season. Have any tail painting equipment you need, ring your vet ahead of time to maybe book in that pre-breeding problem cow exam. Okay, so number 3 is body condition score. This is to me the key driver for health. So if we think about, when I think about fertility, I always think, I bring it back to basics with everything. The sperm and the egg. We need a healthy sperm, healthy egg to meet at the right time in the right environment. And that's what good fertility is. So sperm and the egg in the right environment. If we think about nutrition in cows and in bulls, but cows, the cow cycles every 21 days roughly. That's the intervals between her heats as a general rule. Not always, but she produces a healthy egg. And we want her to produce a healthy egg every 21 days that can be fertilized. Nutrition. If cows have lost a lot of weight between calving and breeding, if they're coming up to breeding in poor body condition score and are under any sort of negative energy stress where the energy going in versus the energy going out isn't matched, those cows won't be cycling, and if they are cycling, they're not going to produce a healthy egg. They're just going to be under pressure. So now is the time to look at body condition score, see where the herd is, make your decisions around particularly very thin cows under 2.75 body condition score. Take them out and put them on once a day milking coming up to calving time. That it takes like a metabolic handbrake, as I call it. Once a day milking, 3 to 4 weeks, really takes the pressure off. They go down to about 75% volume, and really it allows them to hold condition, if not even put on condition if the feeding is right. But it's a really key time to put out the problem cows, look at your body condition, and look at your feeding. This is so critical. Look at the inputs of dry matter, grass, concentrate versus the outputs to your cows, and is there a gap? And especially with herds with outliers, and that can be a real issue where you have very high yielding cows and a mixture in between. It can be difficult to get that right if you don't have in-parlour feeding or individual feeding. So body condition is key. It's something we can do. Put our hands on cows, do it now. 4 is you can start pre-breeding heat detection. So you can do these 2 jobs together. So you can put on tail painted cows again for 3 to 4 weeks before breeding. This allows you to see what cows are breeding or bulling. And I typically would say, look, at a very minimum, put on your tail paint and ignore the cows maybe that are bulling, but the cows that aren't bulling, you could examine them at the mating start date. And obviously you've decided what your mating start date is to make these decisions when you start, but Pre-breeding heat detection is very, very useful. The other thing is, if you're recording any heats, even when you see them, what it will also allow you to do is plan them and map them out where you should see them back in the system. But at a minimum, pre-breeding heat detection allows you to pick up cows that you want to. So what we're trying to do with all this sort of preparation work, pre-season work, all this prep work, is trying to get ready for mating start date, that we can have as many cows cycling, that we can keep our calving interval as short as possible. Alright, so pre-breeding. So number 5, this is a really important one as well, the problem cow group. So in any herd there's going to be cows from back here in calving that have had hard calvings, milk fevers, retained cleanings, have been sick for one reason or another, or a very poor body condition. 10 cows need to go into this. These are the cows that are going to find it difficult potentially, or if we're going to have problems, these are the ones that are going to have it. So isolate this group out around this time and get your vet out, get the womb scan, get the ovaries scanned, and at very minimum these cows need to be metri checked, which is basically a device that just looks at what the discharge, what discharge is coming out of the vagina or womb, and that'll tell you about how clean these are. But these cows, if they get special attention, they could be ready for mating start date. A lot of times when you pull out this problem cow group, a lot of them are cycling, but it's just a quick way of getting everything ready for the season. Okay, number 6 is heat detection planning. So one of the biggest drivers, of course, in fertility will be good heat detection, whether you use tail paint, crayon, scratch cards, or you're using automated systems. Good heat detection really, really pays off. And I suppose the key thing here is observation. So when the cows come in heat, typically morning time or early morning or late evening. Again, if you're getting out there early morning, late evening, watching cows, doing it regularly, knowing what the signs of standing or bulling heat is, pulling those animals out, but really doing a good job on heat detection. And I suppose the one thing about heat detection is that in the first 3 to 6 weeks we have a lot of animals bulling, a lot of heat activity. It's an easier job to do. It becomes much more difficult here when we go into between 6 and 9 weeks, because you've less animals bulling, and that's when you pull in the expert. The vasectomized bull really is worth his salt at that time of year. So that's just a little bit more on heat detection. So number 7, where am I going? I'm going back here a little bit again. I shouldn't have done this in this order, but anyway, heifers, really important. They're the next generation. Want to make sure that they're most important, that they're on target body condition wise and weight wise. Weight is a key driver here, that they're actually cycling, and we want to get these in early at the start of mating. So we're thinking about synchronization programs for heifers here to get them into the cycle nice and early. Number 8 is minerals. Any mineral imbalances in the farm, make sure that they're looked after. All vaccines given pre-breeding, like particularly leptospirosis, farms who are doing BVD, giving them pre-breeding. Anything like if you are using IBR, are you going to use it in the middle of the breeding season, or can you do it beforehand? So plan out your vaccines and your mineral supplementation. And then when mating starts, you need to continually have a plan, reassessing every 3 weeks or so for the breeding, pulling out any late calvers that are calved 35 days, not showing heats, looking at how many cows have you seen bulling every week here, are you on target, are you on track? And then you need to look at synchronization here, particularly for the later calvers, to try and bring them in, the problem cows. And again, even here, synchronization can help them to get them into start date. So there are 9 I suppose, trying to cover fertility quickly, but there's 9 steps there that if you can follow them, you can really have a successful breeding season. Longevity, profitability, greenhouse gases, I think all worthwhile. All worthwhile to put the effort into. But if you wanted to just focus on 3 things, if you didn't want to listen to those 9 steps, get body condition right, once a day milking for the problem 10 cows, just really focus in on that. Heat detection, do a good job at heat detection, plenty of observation, it pays off. And address your problem cows now, so you have as many players ready to run onto the pitch when the game starts. I think get those cows back cycling. Okay, that's it. That's a whirlwind tour of fertility. And now my thought for today. Every day I do a thought for today. And sometimes I suppose, if you could use it in this fertility example, if things aren't where they should be, sometimes we're afraid to admit it. But you know what? Our weaknesses are our greatest strengths. So don't ever be afraid to show the white feather, as my grandmother used to say, are our weaknesses. There's always room for improvement. And there's no point pretending that we're all perfect. We're not.